our guests. All right, Jane, you're welcome. You're welcome. You're welcome.
Thank you, Ololade.
Yeah. So typically, I would love to, you know, I would love to do an introduction at this point, but I think we should wait a bit for our guests so that we have enough people join. I'm also trying to see how many people we have online now that have logged for the webinar. But how are you? How are you today?
I'm good.
How has the preparation for this webinar been?
Well, it's been more like a reinforcement of some things that I believe in and the things that I have preached about in the past. So having an opportunity to talk about it it feels good. Feels good to share what I know to an audience that will be helpful to.
Great. Great. Your slide looks really beautiful, by the way.
Well, we're talking about branding here, so I need to evoke the right feeling in the people who will be listening today.
All right, great. I think we should jump right in.
Right.
First, we'd like to welcome everyone joining us for this webinar today. Thank you very much for taking out time to come join us at Ventoven on this Surviving COVID webinar series. You know, one thing that I always say is that COVID has changed our world forever. I mean, we nobody planned for it, right? Now we have to adjust, and the sad part of it is that a number of people took a hit for the negative, and a number of businesses are affected and livelihoods were affected as well. So because of that, we at Ventoven came up with this webinar to help as many businesses get back on their feet, and people who might have lost businesses or lost anything would also have opportunities to learn things that they can do or businesses that they can start, even as this pandemic is still at large. So we started this webinar about three weeks ago, and between then and now, we have talked about different topics, starting from how to use digital tools to boost or start your business, to how to understand the power of social media. And today we're talking about how you can build a brand that really works, building a business identity that really works. And today with me, I have Jane Odowondo. Jane, the almighty Jane. Right? Jane is a people and organizational culture expert, and today she'll be taking us on a journey that will teach us how we can build a brand identity that works. So Jane, I'm going to pass this baton over to you to just take us away.
Thank you, Ololade, and welcome everyone to this webinar series. I am happy to share the knowledge that I have, the experiences that I have, and the things I've learned over time with you concerning building a brand identity that works. I guess I'd like to start with asking, I mean, of course, I'm not expecting anyone to answer directly, but probably answer the question in your mind. When you think about branding, what comes to your mind? I give 5 seconds for you to think about it. What comes to your mind when you think of branding? All right, so I can imagine that you probably consider that a brand is what I can see, the logo, the type fonts, the colors, all the physical expressions that shows what a company stands for or what a company represents. And I tell you, you're not far from the truth, but let's look at this. So you said Goldings defined it rightly by saying that a brand is a set of expectations or emotions, memories, stories, relationships, all fixed together that account for a consumer's decision to choose one product or service over the other. You know, and I think about it, there are certain reasons why you would always go down to a particular Malam's shop down the road of your house if you have a Malam's shop. You know, it's either because the Malam allows you to go off without, so you want to buy eggs, and Malam says eggs 1, 3, and all you have is 1, 2. And Malam says, oh, don't worry, you'll be customer now, you go bring them back, you know. So you always know that Malam will be nice to you, be considerate, or you want to go buy, refill your water dispenser bottle, and then you drive out and forget to carry your water dispenser bottle, and then you head on to this particular shop, and then you go like, oh my God, I forgot my bottle. And they say, oh, don't worry, madam, just we're going to put it for you. When next you're coming back, bring it. And you actually do bring it. And then, so because of that, you want to always go back there. Now, that shop has evoked a feeling of safety, security, that whenever I go back, these people has got my back. That's the brand. And speaking of
Jane,
yes.
There's one woman in my own estate that doesn't do that for people, and she always loses customers.
Now that's it. So that makes a lot of sense. I don't think you know about it. There is this man, my husband and I call him customer service. We don't know the name of the shop, but
can you imagine?
We call the guy customer service because each time you step into that guy's shop, he's always going to say, Madam, you're highly welcome. I'm here to serve you. What do you want? You know, he always makes so
That's nice.
And, you know, at first it was annoying. It was annoying. Like the guy wants to know how your day was. You pick a carton of Indomie, and he says, oh, you know, our Indomie is the cheapest. You can go anywhere. Like he just makes everything a drama. After some time, they're laughing about it, but gradually, every time we will go back there because my husband will say, oh, what did customer service say today? You know, so for us, it's a fun place to shop. So the guy has done a good job with evoking memories, and creating a relationship that keeps me coming back again. And that's brand. That's what we know him for. So that's actually what a brand is. All right. Now, so your identity is how you translate those feelings and emotions. What's that thing that translates that feelings and emotions? And so people use their logo, their colors, their messaging to bring all of that to life. But we're going to talk more about that. So in creating a brand identity that works for you, the question is, where do we start? Where do you start? How did the customer service start? He maybe didn't go through a set of processes, formal set of processes, but I can bet that he asked himself this question: what is my why? What is the why of my brand? What's that thing that I want to achieve? What's that need to my customer that I want to fulfill? What's the feeling I want to evoke in my customers? How do I want them to feel each time they come here? What does my brand seek to serve? And you know, some people just want to sell. You know, might say that selling phones is the in thing now, and it is, the market is moving. You know, so let me go. So my why is I want to sell phones and make money. Well, if that's your why, that's going to tell determine a lot how you get to do things. But you need to really ask, like, why? Why? I'm good at this thing. Why do I want to sell it? Then you now ask yourself, the people I want to sell it to, what do they perceive is missing in the market? So you're really drilling down to the need that you are fulfilling. And until you know why your brand exists, why is the brand alive, why it's not dead, why is it not dead, until you can answer that question, you wouldn't even know what to communicate. You just be a mix of plenty messages, or you will just do what your friend thinks is best. People are doing it like this, so do it like this, and then you do it. You have no room. So the first question is, what's the why of your brand? The next question is, what are your business values? Not many people think about this. So, like, what are your business values? Your business is an entity on its own. What are those things that your business will not compromise on? What are those things that you stand for any day, that you will defend? You will beat your chest and say, this is how we are. This is how we do things. These are the things that are paramount for us. For example, so for customer service, what I've realized, what I've perceived as one of his business values is, you can't leave his shop unhappy. Like, you have to be happy. Like, you're leaving his shop, you're smiling. And true to it, everybody that leaves customer service shop is always smiling. You know, he's either makes one joke, or he tells you the way he will joke about things you buy, or he would talk about his product, or use himself to make fun. Like, so you just go there feeling, this is home. After a hard day's job, there is this person that just that has seen me and I cares about how I feel. So he doesn't say directly, but in everything, even his staff, his staff will make you feel that way, like they are your family shop. You know, so when you consider what your values are, so probably for him, one of his values is family. So he treats everybody like family. So your value, one of your values could be, as a business, could be people. So people, by extension, your employees or your customers, your partners, your vendors. So and in identifying what your value is, it helps to define it, because your value may mean differently to somebody else. So if people is your value, you've got to define it. Maybe your definition could be, I'm going to take a mile in people's shoes. I'm going to consider people first. That's what people means to you. So you cascade that into everything else that you do. And I'll recommend an exercise you could undertake in trying to figure out what your values are. Consider widely, just drop a list widely, just keep putting everything that your business stands for together. So I mean, you could start with the ambiguous list of integrity,
excellence.
So feel free, just have a broad list, and then begin to group the ones that look together. You know, group them together into buckets. Group them into buckets until you narrow down to a few. It always helps to have not more than 5. 3 is ideal, but 5 is just good. Don't have a long list of 20 things. You probably will never remember them. So when you're done with defining what those values mean. So if you say it is integrity means it means no hidden charges. It means we will tell you the truth at all times. It means our word is our bond. You know, whatever it is, just define it. And if you have a team, it helps to do this collectively with your team, because it's your team that will drive these values or exhibit these values when you're not there. So do it with your team. Let them, if it's an existing team that has worked with you for a while, by now they would have known the things that the business values. either with the way you responded to previous transactions, the way you responded to people, how you made a decision, you know, something that reoccurs all the time. So they can help you with this. And then you guys agree and articulate all of this and say what behaviors would we need to practice to reinforce these values? Because that's how you give life to these values in your brand. And then when all of that is done, you incorporate it to your brand messaging. You know, you incorporate it into your brand. Let people see it either in how you treat them or the posts that you put out or in your packaging. You know, well, let me not go too far because there's a particular point on that. So let's say you know what your business values are. There's one more thing. Consider your personal and customer identity too. If you as a founder are at the center of your business, then it will only make sense that your personal identity, your personal values shines through your brand. Think about it. People don't work, people love to work and do transaction with people, you know. So I'm going to customer service because of him, not because he has everything that I need. It's because of him that I stopped by his shop on my way home from work. So people work with people, people buy things from people. So it helps that people also see a reflection of you in your brand. You know, so in doing this exercise, nothing formal, make it informal. Think about all the things that have shaped you in life. Think about your experiences. Think about the things you will stamp your foot down and say, no, I don't stand for this, or I can't take this. Think about where you come from. Think about where you grew up. Think about your family. Like everything, circumstances, experiences that have shaped you. All of this will help you identify the things that you stand for and the things that you don't. Feel free to add in your beliefs. I mean, it's who you are. And then when you pull out all of these things, then you need to make it clear. So your values are not just for you. You've got to communicate them just like you communicate your business values. So you could merge them with your business values or make that the standing value for your business. I mean, this is your person, and your person is at the core or the center of your business. So you make it clear in your messaging as well. Make it clear to your people. Let me give an instance. So I follow on Instagram. I follow this therapist. I'm not gonna mention her name. Wonderful lady, and she has a lot of following. And one day
I know her.
No, like there are many therapists out there. So I took my time to go through her previous messages, and there is a trend. She's always talking about her family. And I get it, you know, like I can relate with it. It's like almost like as if I know her. So I'm reading her message and I'm connecting to a human being, you know. So she wants to talk about priorities, for instance. She's going to use her family as an example. And she's a professional therapist, you know, so it doesn't feel like she's giving out too much information, but you just get it. And that's her style, you know, all through, it just resonates, right? So what that does is people who are like you are able to connect. People are able to relate with you. People recognize your footprint anywhere they see. They just know, oh, this is this person's work. Oh, this thing has this person's touch. Oh, this has to be a staff of this company because he or she behaves like this, you know, and it just sells the business, especially if you're true to your brand identity, if you're true to your values, and your values are those things that people, and then they are credible, yes. Now, after considering your personal, your personal values, you also need to consider your customer's identity. The audience that
So
you
personal values, then customer identity.
Yes, your customer's identity, because I mean, your business is not in isolation. Your business is there to serve people, and people. I'd like to define a good business relationship or connection like a marriage. So you're in quote married to these customers. So you need to know who they are. What are those things that are important to them? What will they shun? What are those things that they think need to be done? What if you're doing something every other person is doing, a service every other person is offering, you need to know what they think is missing, so that you will fulfill that need. It's like know your customers, basically. And
it's like, what can you help them achieve?
Yes, and then incorporate those values of your customers into your brand. For instance, let me give an example. So if you are a business that serves high-end luxury clients, right? Then you know that for your clients, looking rich and all luxurious is what's valuable to them. They don't look cheap. Ololade, are you there?
Yes, I am. I'm here.
Okay, great. So they don't want to look cheap. So that's everything. Your messaging, everything has to look. You have to look the part. You have to, like Mercedes, or like those who I love with Mac products. So everything they do just makes you feel special. Like it's just you. Like you're in a class of your own. So your brand needs to speak to your brand values. Your brand
That's
needs
how they take our money.
Yeah, I'm about to come to that. So the idea is not to become what you're not just because you want to cash in on a particular niche, or you want to lead a particular set of clients. Your mindset should be about expanding beyond who you are. So even if you're not like this, but your product serves this particular client, don't say, oh, I'm not like this, so I can't serve them, or I am being an opportunist. You're not. Your mindset should be that of, I'm expanding my horizon, I'm expanding my horizon to accommodate these values of the clients that I serve.
Jane, can I ask a question here? So this thing you're saying, I think I agree with it, right? However, I have had people who would come to you and say they would package, they would do all of that because of the kind of clients they're trying to sell to. But then at the end of the day, when you interact with them or their product, you see that it was just all packaging. There is no content. There is no actual value in there. So how do we balance that?
Oh, that's a good question. So in the journey to and that's going to be taken care of in the next slide, Ololade.
Okay, great.
Wait for the next slide to get it.
Okay, that's fine.
So in summarizing this particular point, or rather in concluding on this particular point, once you are clear on what your personal values are, and have married well with your customer's identity, one next step, one thing to do with that, one value that brings to you is you can actually use those values to vet the opportunities that you let in. So when a new business opportunity comes up, you pass it through the lens of your values. Does this resonate with who I am, or what my business stands for? Does this resonate with the audience that I serve? Would I want to identify with this? And that kind of helps you keep in line, so that you are not everything and nobody. You don't lose yourself. So But again, it's advised that that decision, so you might see something that is totally off tangent with what you do. You can, it doesn't mean you hit your hand on the table. It also doesn't mean that you hit your hand on the table and say, no, I don't do this. It might mean, okay, that's a future growth area. Let's look at it and see how we can adjust to get into that zone, you know. But it always helps if you have your values. It just helps you audit, you know, audit what opportunities that you take on and all. As well as in translating those values into something workable, it helps to consider the different touch points, you know, your different business touch points, be it your client servicing, so probably your customer service, your packaging, delivery, what else? Your communication touch points, digital footprint. You know, think about all the touch points where you meet the customer and see how those values can be translated to reflect or to shine through each of those processes. You know, if not, they'll just be words written on your laptop in a nicely designed
or written on your wall.
Yes, and then it just fades up. So it needs to permeate your touch points for it to be effective, or for it to bring the kind of effect that you want it to bring. So now, what are you selling? I'm going to answer that question here. So what are you selling? In creating a brand identity that works, you can get carried away with fulfilling all the other steps that I've spoken to you about, and communicating that brand, you know, letting people know what you stand for, who you are. We are fast. We deliver on time. We are excellent. We are perfect. We are, you know, you can really do so well in all of those things, and you forget to talk about what you're selling, right? And you don't leave room for confusion because when you don't say what you are selling, but you look all nice and good, people are going to be confused. So, what are you selling? And you look good. What are you selling? And then you lose your customers. You lose them because you haven't said anything. You have not sold any. You have not told them what
exactly
you are offering or what you're selling. And a good example is, so if you sell candles, scented candles, right? Put it out there that you're a candle shop. Okay? But if in your messaging, you are probably, one of your values is adventure, right? And you're always posting or communicating images or graphic images that say exciting life, take a mountain hike. What are those adventurous things that we do? You know, I mean, that's what you stand for. That's who you are. And you're good at communicating. And then in the midst of all of it, your candle shop gets lost. And then, and then you hope that people will realize. So there is this business on Instagram that sells food, but I never knew they sold food until I actually asked the founder. So what do you really do? I said, oh, we sell wholesale. We do wholesale food. So if you want to order potatoes from Irish potatoes from Jos, come to us. If you want to order strawberries, come to us. I'm like, well, that's not. You know, she was always posting about wellness. Okay, she was always posting about eating right, exercising, the right food, food inspiration. At some point, I thought maybe she does take out food, like cook out.
And she never said, come and buy food.
No, she did not. She just hoped that people will know what she sells or get it. Or maybe you will DM her and then she'll tell you that this is what she sells. So that's how your values can just take people totally off tangent. One of our values is actually wellness. So, like be well.
Oh, wow.
So she did well with communicating that. So you need to be clear on what you sell. That's one. Two, you need to have the power to evoke the right feelings that you want people to have. So what's the call to action on, I hope I'm not speaking on my next slide. Oh yeah, that's on my next slide. Okay, so let me move to my next slide. Next is, what action do you want to inspire with your brand? What action do you want to inspire? So if you are about, so let me take for example, the therapist now. She's about having mental wellness,
mental health,
self-confidence, and all of that. And in all of her posts, she's able to evoke that feeling that you need. If you have a healthy thinking mindset, then there are higher chances that you will live a purposeful life or a good life. So whenever she now sells her therapy, I am willing to buy, because her values have been able to evoke that in me. So your brand values, or your brand rather, must be able to evoke the action on the other side, or the feeling on the other side of a product. If you buy my product, this is what will happen to you. So your brand would need. Yes, you wanted to say something.
Sorry, Jane, I wanted to pause you, and I wanted to just say to everyone who is listening or watching us that you can leave your questions in the questions box. Just click on ask a question, and then once we receive your question, Jane would answer your question. So I just wanted to put that out there so that people can start dropping questions there then. All right, Jane, sorry to cut you. We can continue.
All right, that's fine. So we're talking about what actions you want to inspire with your brand. So your brand messaging must be able to evoke the feeling or be able to inspire people to do what it says it can do. Like the example of the therapist now, so that when you sell, people believe that your product can make them feel
certain way.
Yes, exactly.
In fact, there's something. Let me buttress your point there. So there is a brand. I'm not going to mention the name, but the brand is all about making people feel a certain way about their product.
Okay.
So for them, it's about the feeling. How do you feel when you unbox the product? How do you feel when you use the product? How do you feel when you carry the product? What is that feeling? It gives you this feeling of prestige, gives you the feeling of I am in the upper class, In fact, the way they design their experience is from the process of buying the product to unboxing it to using it to if the product has an issue to fixing it. Exactly. So how you make your customers feel is really important. I just wanted to add that to your.
Have you ever attended a webinar for those networking business? Well, they say they're not networking business. When they are selling
all those multi-level marketing.
Exactly, all those level. Hey, have you attended?
No, I haven't.
So I attended one a few months back. God. I went to my husband and said, I said, sweetheart, we need to invest in this thing. Because of the feeling they evoke. By the time they showed, so one of their values is luxury living. All right? It's luxury living. So they will show you white cars that their members have bought.
Wow.
You understand? You know, they will show you houses that this person just opened a house opening the other day. This other person is on building his third house. This other person.
Then you not be like, God, when?
Oh God. Like, and then they will tell you how old the person is. This person is just 32 and has made his first XYZ millions. You know, so they just make you feel like you're missing out, like you're not living. You're not that right. They're living until you start, until you join our gang. So, I mean, that's the action, that's the feeling they want you. That's actually what happens on the other side of their product. So when you key in and follow their mentorship, whatever, you actually become what they say you become, right? So so you trust them because they have made you feel that way even before you bought the product or
You
before
bought the product.
signed up for the service. So that's very key. Your in brand message, your brand must be able to evoke the feeling or inspire the action that is on the other side of your product. All right.
Yeah.
Okay, so that brings me to the end, but I'm open to any questions around all the things that I have spoken. There's just a lot more, but perhaps.
Hello. Jane, I think we lost you. All right, it seems we've lost Jane, but if you have any questions, you can post them in the ask a question box. So just click on ask a question on your screen and then type your question and we'll take it. Jane, we lost you for a bit, but you're back.
Yes, I'm back. So while
All
we're
right,
waiting,
so questions. Yeah. Okay.
While we're waiting,
so questions, right? Okay, you wanted to say something. Jane, we've lost you again. Uh-oh. We've lost Jane again. All right, while we're waiting for Jane to come back, I think one of the things that I've learned regarding brand is that you can, Jane, welcome back. I was saying that one of the things that I've learned regarding the importance of building a good brand and a solid brand is that you can create a business, a global worldwide business out of nothing if you brand the business properly, right? So if you and brand, I've come to realize that the huge part of it is the perception that people have about you and that business. Yeah. So you wanted to say something, Jane?
Oh yes, let me write on perception. So I over the holidays I traveled to Enugu and I went.
You mean to the village?
Ololade.
Once you travel during Christmas, you've gone to the village. It's village.
Okay. So I went window shopping with my family at ShopRite in Enugu. ShopRite is like the center of all the fun in Enugu. Like that's yeah. So and then
in Ibadan they call it ShopRite.
ShopRite. And then I passed by this salon. Yeah. I passed by this what they call it's a salon, a man and a ladies
unisex salon.
Yeah? Unisex salon. And it was full. Like I've never seen a salon that is full to the brim in a mall. Like I've never seen. I'm not saying there aren't, but I haven't seen. I've not seen in Abuja here. Like full people were sitting and waiting outside. And then the guy who was in charge of the salon would from time to time come out to say next and come in, and yet inside is full. You know, and
Wow.
I was shocked. And I was curious, and I walked into the salon to observe the activity in there. And then guess what? The salon was filled with young people, young workers who were wearing black and white apron, right? There was this setting vibe around them. Like we are barbers, but barbers like no other. Or we are
Wow.
stylists like no other. Like it was a culture thing. Like the culture, the culture was so, the culture of style was so evident in the way they dress, the way they attend. Like I was passing through to look, and they're like, "Oh, madam, can we help you? Would you like anything done?" Like it just felt like
They made you feel important.
exactly. I just get a salon before. No wonder people want to enter inside and feel special. And then they had this. They had on one corner. They had this studio area. So when you're done with having a nice haircut, you can step into the studio, and there's a professional photographer that will take pictures of you. And then they will encourage you to post it on your Instagram page and tag them. Oh, I was at, I don't want to mention the name of the salon, but I thought about it and considered that what they were selling was like pop culture. They were selling style, they were selling trend, they were selling youthful, what's the word?
I wanted to use exuberance.
Yes, they were selling life, they were selling style, they were selling hip, you know, we're hip, everybody that comes here is hip. Man, I didn't see people like my dad in there. You know, I didn't see, it was all clients were young people. So they considered the people they were serving, you know, in bringing out, in weighing what values to project. I mean, the clients want to serve, what's important to them. How do they want to be seen? How do they want to be perceived? How do they want to be treated? And they incorporated all of this into their values that reflected in their different touch points. Like they all, if you go to some salons, the stylists will be looking ill kept, but they do a great job. You know, but I didn't see that there. You know, so perception, back to perception, how you're the perceived value. They haven't given me a hairstyle yet, but I just felt that there was no way these people would not fulfill the brand promise that they have communicated by the way they looked and the way they behaved, you know. Yeah. So yeah, perception is.
So I wanted to say something, and now this is like a question to you, Jane. Does it mean that the kind of brand you want to build has a huge role in determining the kind of investments you make in your business? For example, that person, for example, I'm guessing it would have costed him an extra effort or amount of money to, you know, make those aprons, create those studio, you know, train those people to be able to talk like that. So what's the role of these investments in building the kind of brand that is sustainable?
Oh, definitely. You've got to look the part. You've got to look the part. I mean, when you are clear on what your brand values are, what it is you're selling and who you're selling it to, all of that translates to your brand identity, how you look and how you are perceived. There's a microfinance bank. Now, if for those who have ever done business with microfinance bank, one value that is key that clients, customers look out for is, do you look like us? Do you look like us now, in the sense that the people who they serve are the traders, the market women, the people in the market. Now, so you, as a microfinance bank, you need your brand identity needs to come across as we feel
for the masses.
We can relate with you. One, two, we don't spend anyhow. We're not a luxurious brand. We understand the hustle. We're hustling as well. Every kobo you give us is invested and will give birth to another kobo. So everything about you needs to look what's the word? I don't want to use, it's not sustainable. Sustainable is not the word. Minimalist. Yes. Minimalist.
Yeah.
Yeah, you need to project that. And there is one bank I still wouldn't mention, but very popular, one microfinance bank that does that very well. If you go into their banking premises, you're not going to see the normal banking counter, a nice chair where customers sit and wait, AC blowing you. No, you will see it all. You will see bench and fan.
Wow.
All right. So, and they are not ready to change it. It's not because they cannot afford, but because the customers that are working there need to be able to trust them to keep this money that they have sweated to make, right? But if if the customer walks into the bank and sees a split AC standing unit, the big one, red in color.
They say, hey, they've spent our money.
That's where money is, you know, or the MD is wearing different kind of wigs and driving a big car, or the bank has, you know, those black Toyota cars parked in front. That's a red flag for customers. They won't come there. When they come in and they see a bus, that bus is for recovery. They see
boy.
everything is basic. That banking hall, that banking or microfinance will be filled to the brim because people will trust that brand. So again, that's them considering the segment that they are working with and marrying their values to the expectations of the client. So it's a perception is key, yes, really, really key. Perception, your brand perception, the perception of your brand identity.
Wow.
And I'll encourage everyone to do like an audit to check, ask your customers, how do you perceive me? Who am I? You know, you might be shocked at what you realize. You might see that what people see you as is not what you intended to be in the first place.
So Jane, you know, I thank you very much for that. I have a question, but the question is about customer service, your guy. It's interesting that this guy has built such a reputation that you can't even remember his name.
I don't know his name.
And all you can think of when you think about him is excellent customer service.
I'm telling you. Oh dear.
Jane, are you sure we shouldn't make him a resource person on these webinars one of these days? but my question is, for someone who is running a business at that scale, he's obviously not running a massive business like a microfinance bank or a telecoms company, you know, he's running a really small scale. It's not even, we can't even call it startup because do you understand? It's business. In fact, it's business. Right? So for someone doing business at that scale, who to be able to deliver such exceptional customer service, what are some of the practical things that we can take from that and people can begin to do today, no matter what business they are in? Because sometimes people feel like when it comes to brand and, you know, delivering customer service, you must be the big brand, you must have a massive office, you know, do social media, billboard, all those things. But you've just given us an example of someone who is doing a very small scale business and is delivering exceptional customer service and has created a brand for himself. What are some of the things that you think people can begin to do today to achieve that?
One quick two things come to mind. One is you need to be clear on what your values are. It's not guesswork. You need to be clear on what you want people to say of you. I can't help but bring bring something that Jesus Christ said. He said, "Who do people say I am?" You know,
I am.
yeah. Who do people say? So you need to ask yourself, who do people say I am? If I cannot differentiate you from the next shop, then you don't have an identity. You don't have an identity. Yeah. So what is that stamp that I want people to use to recognize me? You know, so that even if even if they buy your service or your product with their eyes closed, they know it is you. That's one. So when you're clear on what that thing is, it will guide the people that work with you. Because remember, you're not the only one running a business. You're running a business with people, and you're not going to always be there.
Yeah.
So you want people to translate that stamp in all that they do. So when you know who you are, when you are grounded, I'm glad I remember this word. When you're grounded in who you are and what value you want your business to communicate, then it will guide the people you recruit. It will guide people you recruit. It will help you decide, should I end up with that sales? Let me go really low. Let me go really low. Should I end up with that client officer or salesperson who is very sharp, flippant, talks well, brings in customer, but talks really fast, talks well, gets the job done, but doesn't have respect? Now, customer service will end with somebody like that. So, or should I go with that person who is service oriented, who looks like me in some ways? It must look like you in all the ways. Who looks like me in some ways? Should I go with? Let me give a very granular example again. Granular, something that everybody can relate with. So, I have one of my distant relatives living with me, and before she started living with me full time, there was a month where we're checking each other out. She was checking me out, and I was checking her out. And one thing that counts for me is, one value that I have is, I don't go to bed until the work is done. Like, I wouldn't say, oh, I'm tired, let me go and sleep. I'll wake up and continue. Some people are like that and they still do a great job. But I will be awake until it is finished, because when it is finished, I just want to go and sleep and rest with nobody disturbing me, right? And when this lady came, I found out that she wouldn't leave the kitchen until it is speak and span. Even if she's so tired, I'll be like, oh no, go and rest, go and sleep. She said, no, auntie, I just want to finish this and then rest. When she said, oh my God, I've just found the perfect compliment,
package match.
Shares the same values. So when I'm working, I don't feel guilty that, oh, I'm making her stay up with me. She's not as strong as I am. But it's something that is, because she believes in delayed gratification. Now that's why I believe in delayed gratification. So in recruiting, it helps to pass everyone you are considering through your value test, because they can just spoil things for you when you're not there. So first, being clear on who you are, and then translating it into the people, the team that you bring on board to work with you. And then next, reward those values when you see them being exhibited. Reward them, reward it. And then when you see your team going off tangents and doing things that you do not stand for, call it out immediately. Don't keep quiet and say, oh, she's a first timer or he's a first timer, she will learn. No, call it out immediately. If not, it will exhibit itself in another form. I get what? Yeah. I mean, people are everything.
All right. Yeah, we're at the end of our webinar. those are all of the questions that we have, but I don't know if you have any maybe final comments that you'd like to share with us before we go.
Okay, so my final comment will be, know who you are as a founder. Be grounded on what value you want, how you want to be perceived by your clients, how do you want your brand to be perceived by your clients, and follow through or reflecting that at every touch point, service touch point of your business.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you. We've taught us a lot today. And one thing that I think everyone needs to remember is that the way your customers feel, the way your clients feel after they relate with you is very, very important. It's very, very important. All right. Thank you very much, Jane. And thank you everyone for joining us on the Surviving COVID webinar today. Next week, we'll be here again, same time by 4 p.m. and we'll be hosting an expert who will be talking about how you can profit from creating solutions for the mass market. I know we're going to have a wonderful time again. All right, thank you very much. Please share the link for to this webinar with as many people as you can. You might just be saving someone's business or saving their livelihood. Let's have a wonderful weekend and we'll see you again next week. Bye. Bye, everyone.